Peace, everybody. It's Miss Marianna, and I am so happy to have you back here for an episode of Refreshing Convos. Now, let me let you know that if you are new to this space, I welcome you. But if you're true to this space, make sure you go and share it, because Refreshing Convos is specifically designed for the community restoration and healing that we all need at some capacity in our life. We've gone through some kind of challenges, and Refreshing Convos is specifically for those who are in positions of leadership, but community members who aren't can also benefit from it. I'm talking to entrepreneurs. I'm talking to entertainers. I'm talking to people in education, any form of leadership. And if you're not in one of those sectors in professionally, you're a leader of your household. You're a leader of maybe the relationships that you're in and that you have in your life with your family, your friends, and loved ones. So the idea with Refreshing Convos is for us to come together and really look at what some of those key challenges were, right? So that we can look at what the medicine was, what that consisted of, what the healing process consisted of, so we can eventually extract that information and give that lesson to other people. It's just that simple. And so I'm grateful to be here because we're in season 2. That means that I've been doing it for a little minute, y'all. Let me take the little off. I've been doing it for a minute now. And it's exciting because this started in COVID era time when we were having a pandemic and everybody and their mama had a talk show on IG Live, and the content and the people that I was able to bring were so powerful that I felt it necessary to expand it and get a producer and put something together that can last in the archives as learning lessons for us artists, entertainers, entrepreneurs, folks in leadership, right? So today I have somebody who I'm always excited about, the people I select, because I bring amazing human beings here to share their stories. But this brother in particular, I met in a community project that I was working on, where we did community healing as a collective, and just stood out. You know, there's just people that have an aura about them that stands out. And of course, once I met him, I started to realize it's because he's a gifted artist and he's a gifted person for education. And that is something that we have in common. This person is an author of an amazing book that we'll get into later, that I think is just phenomenal for community. This person is a producer and an artist and brings music and sound. But ultimately, I want to really, really focus on what some of the challenges were that helped him to shine his light the way he is and producing some of the positive things for community. So my fellow refreshers out there, our guest here today for Refreshing Convos is our brother Amari Touray.
Yesterday, what you doing with your time? You're nurturing women out there who take charge of this as a mother. It's also a verb that you bring up a child with care and affection. Thank you for all that you have endured, the nurturing spirit you all provide, and the balance you all give to the world.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody cueing the claps.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
I'm feeling swell and well. Honored to be here. Peace and gratitude. I'm honored.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time.
Yes.
You ready?
I'm ready.
And I think the reason why it's important for me to facilitate these particular conversations with Refreshing Convos is because sometimes we see people get to a level of shine, right, of success, of confidence in their purpose, that we don't really get the inside scoop of some of the real life challenges that happen on the way to getting to that point.
Yes.
And so for me, just in the small interactions that we've had, I know you got a story and I haven't gotten all the bits and pieces, but today is the day.
Oh, yes.
Today is and today is also a special day too, right?
Yes.
What before we dive in, what is today?
Today is the anniversary of my birth.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes. And I always ask people, when you've lived another year, you should have at least one lesson you done learned.
Yes.
Can you tell it to me so that I can add it to my tool belt or get a refresher?
Yes. Love of self, looking out for self-care. That would be what I've obtained in this last year up until now, being able to look out for yourself first.
Yeah.
Many times we find ourselves attached to whatever struggle or dilemmas maybe our family may be facing, our loved ones, our community, our nation.
Yes.
Many times we forsake ourselves.
Right.
So we see others drowning and we go out there and attempt to save others while we're drowning ourselves. So that's my lesson.
Yeah.
That's
a beautiful lesson. I think it's one that we have to just be reminded of constantly.
Yes.
Because we're constantly living and we're
Yes.
constantly adapting, and it's so easy to figure out, or it's so easy to get off the track of what our priorities are.
Yes.
And self-care is kind of like a non-negotiable.
Thing.
It's a non-negotiable.
Right.
We be raggedy trying to figure it out without it.
Yes.
But I think for me, that's a lesson of like not making my self-care negotiable. It keeps me from burning out and being frustrated with life.
Right. And I think many times we throw these words around, especially in certain neighborhoods and
Yeah.
demographics. And loyalty was a big word of mine. And I've always felt this need to uphold loyalty.
Yeah.
I still feel it's key to be loyal to whatever you have an oath with or claim a commune with,
Yeah.
relate with. Many times we're so loyal to the point that we forsake the first thing that we need to be loyal to, and that is ourselves. So we find ourselves being so loyal to whatever set you may claim,
Yeah.
whatever fraternity, sorority, or whatever community, whatever zone, whatever hood you from.
Right. Whatever mentality.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we forsake self.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the moment we forsake ourselves, we're kind of like forsaking God too. Like that's usually one and the same. Like God doesn't
is.
usually want us
And
to forsake
crazy-
ourselves.
That's
So,
crazy. That's to me when you say the image of God is when I look for God on my journey of looking for God. One place I found God was the mirror, and I was able to look at myself and I saw God.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
forsaking myself is like forsaking
Yeah.
God. So why not be loyal to myself and loyal to God?
And I see a lot of, look, we diving in. We ain't even got to we're going to do the formal introduction, but we're going to finish this thought is this idea of, the God within and the God being omnipotent. If God is all things everywhere, why do we see it as this entity that's outside of ourselves? And so
Yes.
I know that when I'm in situations where I feel like I'm forsaking myself, I kind of know it's all one and the same, and I'm forsaking God too. So
Yes.
yeah. So look, we already
goodness.
look, we 2 toes in. Look, we got a whole hour though. We got a whole
Okay,
hour.
all right,
So, but I do want us to, I know this space is free flowing, and that's what I love about these conversations. It's not a presentation
No.
in a sense where we have to be perfect. All we have to do is just show up and be
Yourself.
authentic ourselves,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So one thing that I know is that most people, when they're creators, they often create from a space where they're creating some sort of healing modality for themselves. So usually we're using our talent as medicine for ourselves. And I see that you are a creator. So I want to learn about who are you as a creator, and specifically the author and the book that you have, because that's something that people need to know about is your gifts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Music is my therapy, and I want to go back to referencing to self. Being able to take a pen and bleed onto a paper the thoughts that's in my mind, the vision that I have, the hardships, the pain that I may have been experiencing. That's driven my creative ability.
Yeah.
I've been able to, I don't know, I've prayed to God or whatever deity we see about my attachment style. I've always felt it was a curse and a gift
Okay.
because I attach so hard.
Right.
And I don't like to see my people in horrible circumstances. So when you come in from certain environments where people were impoverished or people just had mental health issues, I remember seeing shell-shocked veterans in the streets, not at their best, and just dropped off in the neighborhood after the wars they had served in.
Right.
That's been my drive.
Yeah.
I know prostitutes, pimps, gangsters, hustlers, every facet of our community, teachers, janitors. I was always able to attach to them and want the best for them.
Yeah.
And it's like I was always their representative. I was always their voice. So even every accolade that I may have received,
Right.
from a high school diploma to a college degree, I never felt it was mine. I never felt it was totally mine. So I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing.
That's
Or
real.
just both. Because I felt when I held my degree up, it was for all the people that had died early in their life. My cousin, my brother, and people in the neighborhood. I felt it belonged to them. I felt it was our accomplishment.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a form of neglecting self and being so loyal, but I still felt the need to do that. And I still feel it's a good thing. I don't know if it's balanced though.
Well, the first thing that I hear is like the Ubuntu spirit, which is really about like less pulling together and like we are one, and
Yes.
like, we don't leave each other behind, and we are connected because people of African descent, we really learn in community in a lot of ways. And a lot of aspects, our development, our growth is through community and through relationships. It's not as this isolated experience.
Right.
So that the first thing I don't see is it as a potential weakness. I see it first as a strength, but I think it's a strength that comes with a certain order of operation so that you do have healthier attachment styles, especially when you serve in community. I serve a lot of community, and I'm gonna tell you right now, if I attached mentally and emotionally so deeply for long periods of time, I would have millions of spiritual and energetic cords going out, and that's draining. So it's my job to know when the vessel is open and it's my time to serve, to give all of myself in that amount of time. And then when the vessel is closed and I'm done teaching, I go live my life and I detach, and I don't owe anybody beyond that. So I think that that's probably just the first thing. I don't think that is necessarily, where does that connotation come from that it might be a bad thing?
What you say, what you just stated, being able to detach.
Okay.
I was one that I hopped into the mental health field and working with youth as a counselor, a therapist.
Oh, wait, don't speed past that.
sorry,
That's
okay.
good stuff.
Well,
Where are you? Do not minimize that. Take a time out. So you're an artist who would be considered maybe an empath, serving community. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes.
And then now we're going into the next chapter, iteration of who you are is you're a service provider for community. So tell me something about that.
Well, not clinical.
You was trying to speed by it.
No, I apologize for that. Not clinical, but I worked at many group homes, many mental health facilities, and there's all these sayings of don't take your work home with you. I was never able to do that. How can I know that somebody's without and go home comfortably and sleep? So I was never able to detach. How can I know that this young boy who never had his mom or father in their life and is struggling, how can I sleep at night? I want to put them in better positions. So, and attaching to people in my neighborhood, seeing those same conditions and circumstances, it drove me to educate myself and learn how those ropes. I was part of a system called multi-systemic therapy, learning about how one thing can impact everything.
Yes.
One dynamic, an uncle move in, or somebody return home from prison, that changed the whole dynamic of a household.
Right.
So learning those things, and just wanted to improve the quality of life.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to sleep well knowing that I know somebody struggling.
I imagine too, like even for people in different professions, like surgeons, right? Think of somebody who is dealing with somebody and they're teetering life or death, right? Based off of them being able to execute that. That's such a power in your hands. And I always wonder, like, how do they, when some people do transition? And the only thing that has helped me is to know that at the end of the day, at the end of the lifetime, we'll say that, not just the end of the day, but at the end of this lifetime, like, I think what I and God's self is going to go off of in terms of measuring my fullness of my experience here is, did I do my best?
Yeah.
Not did I do it all. Not did I fix everybody. Not did I heal everybody. But did I do my best and impact the people who are supposed to get exactly what I did have to give and not what I haven't been able to fix for them?
I agree.
I think that is probably the only thing that really helps me to not attach to people suffering so much.
And if I could respond to that, being in institutions where they say you can't save everybody, I never liked that. Yeah. Because having that mindset, to me, it creates a dilemma where you may give up on the one person that you can save. Yeah. So I know many people will say that. You can't save everybody, just can't do it. Don't take it home. Don't take it personal. I take it personal. Yeah. Because I know that we share a society together. And I know that person will be in the same community with my children. And I want to know that their mindset is stable or enough to function without harming.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's a noble heart. I'm not sure that nobility and people's genuine concern for humanity is driving, the way we're navigating through it. It's usually from a survival space. I think my only concern is that if it starts to affect you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically, whether that's neglect, whether that's putting it to the back burner, which is kind of what you acknowledged, is making self-care a priority, that you can be committed to the community. But I don't think we can be committed to the struggle, but I don't think that means we have to be struggling. And what happens is, for a lot of people, as you start evolving, because that's your path and your journey to evolve. Maybe whatever's going on in that being's life, that person's life, right? I think a lot of us don't ascend because we're so worried that we can't take everybody with us or fix everything. And so I maintain that idea of doing our best with the gifts that we do have is more than enough. So even if we don't see it hitting and resulting in the lives that we would want it to be, it doesn't mean that you haven't made an impact and there aren't families that you have served that maybe have rehabilitated. That was your part to do and you did it well.
I agree, and I thank you so much for that. And my first published book, it was called Point Blank.
Ooh, your first published book?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I celebrate things. Y'all be trying to speed past. Let me tell you about myself. I'm going to say it nice and slow so everybody knows all about the wonderfulness. So take it nice and slow and tell me about this book.
So the first book was called Point Blank, Perspective of a Straight Shooter, Volume 1.
Okay.
And in there, I would write articles for this paper, and I got great responses from all ethnicities. But I would touch on subjects people didn't like to talk about. There was one chapter called The Uphill Road, and it talks about a man walking up a mountain, how everybody started off at the bottom of the mountain. He went up, the air started getting thin, people started getting tired, people faded away. He kept going up the mountain, more people. Ended up, only him and maybe a few others made it to the top. And it was just a life lesson, just looking at life. Everybody can't go. And that's one thing I had to realize, even in my attempt to save everybody. Everybody's not going to go.
Yeah.
Everybody
That's a good lesson.
Because it's incumbent upon them to do the work that they need to do so we can provide the tools. And I think that's one thing that's humbled me and satisfied me.
Yes.
That I do a good job in planting the seed.
That's right.
And as you have the beautiful plants there, they planted, these are seeds. The manifestation of seeds. And honestly, I have within those stories planted seeds, and young men have called me.
Very good.
Matter of fact, 2 years ago, a young brother, his mother was on crack and died of HIV/AIDS. Didn't know his father, to my understanding, and was in group home ever since infant. And I worked with him and his other brother, but he got a call. I got a call. He was getting married, and he wanted to share that experience with me.
Oh.
And he sent me another message. I was going to be there, but he sent me another message. Please be there. You were like a father to me. And so when I got there, in tears, he was happy. It was other boys from the group home he was in too. It's another. This young soldier, he approached me and he said, "What's up?" He like, "I just want to let you know you were like a father to me, man." I'm like, and I never heard the feedback from whatever seed I may have planted, because I wasn't doing it for vanity. I was doing it because I really had love for these soldiers. And just to hear that, and they're doing well and good in life, I'm like, it's a breath of fresh air. And it felt good.
Yeah. You know, when intentions are pure, when it just, in whatever we're doing, when our intentions are pure, beautiful things come from it, and things blossom that we might not even realize. Anybody who's a gardener knows there's something called cross germination, right? A little bird might pick up a seed that they'll bring it over here. You trying to figure out, how do I get collard greens in my yard? So planted that, right? These atmospheres and these environments are sharing and seeding each other constantly. So and then I think what's important is those boys in those group homes that you're working with. One might say you're like a father figure. Another might say, so that means the same seed that you're planting, just with different human beings, it is abundant. It is abundant. It's one thing for one person to say that, but for multiple people say that means you are filling what might feel like a void to so many people, all from the same seed of just being you and just planting that with the young people that you work with. So let me ask you something, because we can geek out all day, right, on the inner learnings of these lessons, but I still want people to know who you are. Like that's part of what you're here for, right? And so now we got you as an artist and a creative. We got you as a community servant and a care provider for young adults and people who are in need. I feel like there's a third element there. And usually that third element is somewhere steeped in a major life experience. I don't always want to say, what's your trauma, right? Because that gets kind of low. It's almost like rapey, right? Like it's like, you know, let's trauma bond. And like a lot of these podcasts, we got to be careful.
Yes.
I want to make it clear that I'm never here to exploit anyone's pain.
Oh, for sure.
But I do want to explore it.
Right.
And I want to know about that thing that has kind of catapulted the children's book that you wrote that I would love for you to share about, and the lessons you've learned and how you overcome. So what was that thing? What was the medicine and the healing? And how does it lead you to this space now?
Thank you for that, first of all. First, I want to say, this is a special environment to me. I wanted to make myself more vulnerable in this space.
Okay.
More vulnerable than I've probably ever been in any interview.
All right. I just want you to feel comfortable.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think it's incumbent on me, though, the listener, somebody may hear this and may be dealing with what I have dealt with. I was born in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, right?
Tuscaloosa. Say it again. Tuscaloosa.
I was in the deep South.
Okay.
And I was a loner, though. And let me see. I had a physical dilemma. I have nerve damage from my neck down into my shoulder, into my arm on my right side.
What caused it?
A birth. The doctor mishandled me.
Mishandled you?
Yes. It's called brachial plexus. Pulled out the wrong way and just mishandled.
And how does this result in your body?
It was like 70% usage of my right side.
Okay.
But it's a difference that I tried to cover up. So I had all this ambition and drive to do every sport, to be the first of everything. I remember as a child having that ambition to do that. But when I was placed in positions where I could play sports, I actually excelled in sports. But as I got older, my self-esteem was severely low.
Okay.
And we never say that. Those are like words, taboo words, depression and esteem. We don't talk about that. It was never talked about. So being a young boy who was taught to keep your chest up, head and up, walk in a certain way, we deal with it.
Yeah.
But we never dealt with it.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. So I kept it to myself. I stopped playing sports and I transferred my energy into smoking, ladies, women, and every other recreational thing.
What age is this that you're going from maybe this more athletic background and your confidence being there to now your confidence is starting to shift? And is this because you don't want to draw attention to your physical difference? Is that what? Okay.
So a lot of fights, even in elementary school, being teased, picked on, bullied, if you will. I remember even from kindergarten, first grade. I remember getting jumped. Yeah, all that. And so it put me in a position where I tried to avoid being in the spotlight or exposed, but I had all these desires inside. And so I would do it here and there, come out the shell like a turtle, come out the shell, then go right back in.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing that a lot throughout life. So elementary school, up in the middle school, excelling, all city MVP artists.
Wow.
And just started getting older, but this is when I started leaning towards other things. So let me give you a breakdown on this, though.
Yeah.
Like many families, I think we got two different types of families.
Right.
Our families full of ministers and preachers and teachers, educators. My mom is an educator, and I thank her for that. But on the other side, that's the family. That's
you working with? Come on, you listed out the positive side of the family. I'm on here the other side. Bring it. Go on. You ain't got to say no names.
I'm the hustlers, the soldiers, the gangsters, the streets. Them be getting in.
Okay.
And I can say I had a balanced outlook because I used to love National Geographic, and at that time, encyclopedias. I don't know if they got them no more.
I remember we're showing our age now. We had to look up things we wanted to learn in a book.
That's right. My escape was National Geographic. I said, I can't wait to go here. Yeah. I just wanted to be away in my own isolated, traveling the world. But I learned a lot from studying things, culture. But then I learned the other culture too, and that's the street culture. And so I started diving more into that.
Oh, tell me about it. Come on, let it all. You said you want to be vulnerable.
Yes. Smoking, drinking early.
How old would you say? Or what phase?
It's towards middle school.
Okay, middle school. That's young. That's quite young. Okay.
No.
So how did those choices affect your life in middle school?
Just started doing some delinquent things.
Like what?
Whooping ass. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's okay. I got a book called On Your Shit, so we can say ass.
Right.
But
I started owning
who
my
was
shit.
who was you whooping on? Was that the anger being the tease?
Let me say
things?
this. Being under the influence of I really appreciate them. The positive attributes of some things I taught from many of those OGs and elders.
Okay.
I was really like a dude boy at that time. Point somebody out, I'm going to go handle you. Because I was big for my size, too. Although I had a dilemma, I was big for my size and I had a mean left hook.
How tall are you?
I'm 6'2".
Okay, yeah. So there ain't nobody cowering down. You know, you ain't cowering down.
I remember OGs be like, they point them out. And I go, knock their ass out. Excuse me.
So they just like to be entertained with you knocking folks out?
Yeah, they maybe have some owing or dealings with them that wasn't pleasant. And
so you was the big body that went and handled business for them.
Yeah, go make it happen.
Okay. So you started knocking folks out. What by this time it's high school, or was you big in middle school?
Yeah, I was big in middle school. I was always over like big for myself.
So how did that affect you? Because you went from shining in your excelling, then fast forward a little bit towards middle school, you start kind of exploring behaviors that you consider delinquent, right? Or not having you focused on the positive things of life. You start being surrounded by brothers in the hood, right? Who got you kind of duping you because they older than you, getting you to do some strange things. How is this affecting you mentally and emotionally?
Gave me acceptance. So I was accepted.
Okay.
I was not in the spotlight yet. I was in the spotlight.
Right.
I was enjoying the moment.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I felt.
And then what was the phase that transitioned after that? Did you wake up one day and be like, I'm tired of knocking fools out and being their go-to for the violence?
On that trajectory, though, let me say I was still studying.
Okay.
It's more so, I think, many times in the demographics many of us come from, we hide what we truly like or want to do. So we'll keep it to ourselves.
Yeah.
When I found space by myself, I would go back to my National Geographic. And, things like that. And let me say this, though. I was still torn like a mug inside. I would say this. I think many men, black men in particular, or everyone, I think the one therapist we always had was the bathroom.
Oh, tell me more about the bathroom.
The locked bathroom. And I said, you want to find at least a black man crying? The locked restroom. That's the place we deal with ourselves. That's like the one room where we can lock and release if you need. But I used to find myself in the mirror a lot. Tears. Yeah. From elementary, middle, high school to adulthood.
So what was happening in your life? Because to be feeling this way since elementary, right? Not because you got your butt whooped, or maybe it was, but because you're doing some introspective feeling. What was happening? What was the core things that were happening? Was it environmental with your family? What happened that had you so sad as in elementary and middle school?
This is the vulnerability right here. First of all, I didn't catch on to really what was going on early, like your mom, but kind of in between households to a degree. So I was with my mom and the man I thought was my father. Okay. And at times the treatment, I would notice the difference of treatment.
Did you have siblings?
Yes.
So that's
way older though. No, they were older, and I was like offspring that was like maybe a decade later. Like I was like a whole nother offshoot. Like.
So how were you being treated that made you emotionally allude to something that was different? Is that what you're saying?
Just non-interaction, kind of docile, but then when something went wrong, harsh.
Time out on that, because a lot of people go through that where they think somebody's their parent and they're not. Yes. And their whole life, they feel and sense something. Can we talk about, just take a moment to really validate the feelings that came out of that? Because I got to watch you. You try to go by quick, right? But this is the space where we decompress, right? Like, and we're bold enough to share it with people that are in the globe who may be feeling it too. There's a lot of people whose parents made the decision to not reveal that at the appropriate time in human development. And that has left people in a stupor.
I agree.
Not that parent could be the best parent in the world, but to find out something like that affects who you are as an individual down to the DNA level.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that they're no less your parent, but there are certain factors, even on a health level. Yes. Let's just talk at a baseline human development health level that individual deserves to know. Yes. But even in the worst case scenarios, there are so many people that felt like they were treated differently. They may have been abused in certain ways because the adults didn't see you as flesh and blood and did things to you. I mean, there's so many people that are suffering in that. Yes. Do you know any? Is this your experience solo, or do you know other people who've been here?
Many of them.
Tell me more about your experience and those that have gone through this.
It's very challenging, especially as a child, having an immature mind, did I do something? Trying to piece it all together.
Right.
Kind of harsh speaking to, or even ass whippings. It's gonna be said, man. I'm trying to be, and you know what? Let me say this before I go forward. I wanted to be more vulnerable in this space, and I talked to somebody about this because ignorant people who will hear this, and then because my mother is still living, so I want to make sure that she knows she's safe.
Yes.
Too, because she's human.
Right.
And I don't feel I'm a mistake at all. I'm thankful to be here. So I want to make sure she knows that, and other people who may try to say something. That's why I've always tiptoed around the subject. Yeah. Some people don't know very close to me that don't even know still.
Yes.
So that's why I'm just careful with this information.
I first of all, I want to take a time, and that's what I said in the beginning about there's a difference between exploring an experience for the purpose of learning and healing and growing. And then there's a difference between exploiting it, where the energetic nature of it is to try to get a scoop you know what I'm saying? Right, or to cause some kind of gossipy. We see that all over the internet where people are bearing out real life experiences and people are using it to go viral, to cause dissension. Right. I think your honor for your mother and who she is and the decisions she made is important and valuable. Yes. And I think that at the same time, social practitioner, social wellness work is about talking about these complex layered circumstances without having to totally vilify one person, place, or thing. It's really about looking at all of the different aspects of this experience and being able to say, okay, this affected me that way. Yes. That affected me this way. Honoring the emotion that came from that experience, whether you intended to or not, is still important for me to do without me saying angry at you forever.
Right, that's right.
So does that speak to that genuine feeling that you wanted to we got to take a pause for mom and say, we respect you, we honor you. We know all of us wasn't perfect, but this is also your story and it has impacted you and we are not angry about it. We're learning from it. Is that a fair assessment for the sentiments towards Mama Bear?
For sure, definitely.
Okay, good.
So definitely trying to reach as a young man and not having that father there, not knowing why it's not, I see you, but it's like, what's up? And so I bounced from home to me and my mom staying in my grandmother's home.
Okay. Big mama.
Oh, my dear. Love you so much. And my grandparents, granddad. So we bounced from there to here to there. And I remember some horrible arguments of my mom and Pops. I call him Pops. At times where the house would be tore up. And we riding the grandma again. So it was a back and forth, and then just trying to put it together. So I'm torn. And many times going back to the restroom, when I found out and started putting it together, not feeling wanted, you're looking at yourself in the mirror, trying to piece it together on top of the dilemma with your physical dilemma. So you're trying to piece all that on top of neighborhood affairs, and it's like your mind just spinning. It's like a volcano just building up, ready to explode. And that's why that exploder would come out with knocking somebody's dome off. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But yes, crying, tears. I even took a knife to my arm. I hope I'm not skipping all over the place.
No, actually, you're actually laying it out and bringing all of these like branches, back to the root and showing me like kind of the chronological order and the environment and the inner environment that you're experiencing. Right. So, it's giving me insight now. Yes. You answered the question. It took us a while to get there because that's how we do as creatives. But you had to give me a little bits and pieces to kind of pull together this overall viewpoint. Yes. And it's allowing me to see a gifted young man who has had their particular, right, challenges that have amounted to a sense of empathy because of what you've experienced, being able to also extend that to other people. I also hear a level of self-awareness throughout this whole process of these changing environments and how unhealthy maybe some of those experiences are. You were still returning back to that knowledge, that study, that wisdom, that self in the mirror analyzation. And I think that I'm curious to know what pulled you maybe away, or what was your salvation experience of how'd you get out the hood? Because you don't seem like you did. Are you still a hitter right now? Let me find out you still hit out there. How did you become self-aware where there began to be some healing and overcoming so that you could grow to the person that you are now?
To like 2009.
And how old are you then?
Oof, I forgot.
Hold on.
30, it's like maybe
30s.
Yeah, low.
Okay,
30s.
we're just gonna say 30s. You ain't gotta have it down to the
low 30s. I've always been in search of something. I've always felt it was something inside me better than this.
Yeah.
I always felt it, just didn't know how to get to it. So in 2009, I hit rock bottom home. I was sleeping in my car.
Okay. And this is all.
I'm in Atlanta this time. I was in my car.
How did you get to your car though? See, you be fast forwarding.
Oh.
What? So obviously there was some sort of fall.
Yes.
So
I lost
did you
my
crack?
job.
Okay.
Also, yes, I lost my job.
So in your 20s, you starting to
high 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, lost my job. Couldn't get employment. I remember having a bachelor's degree.
Wow.
And I just wanted a job as a just bags.
So you did go to college long enough to get a bachelor's degree. So you got out of right out of high school, you go to college. Wow.
Yes, I went to Morris Brown College. I know I'm all over the place.
It's okay.
I'm
I'm gonna pull you back. I'm not gonna let you go too far.
So I want to
college.
before I go to this, I guess the spiritual realignment.
Yeah.
And even college, let me say this. Standing in the mirror and dealing with things, losing in the late 80s, early 90s. We lost a lot of soldiers. And they say they were dropping like flies. And gang culture was heavy. And let me say this, I was from Alabama, but I was also in Cali, down in LA, Long Beach. So I had a family down there.
Yeah.
So I was in between both spots.
Okay.
My mom always was laughing at the other day. Yeah, he was always on that Greyhound. Always doing, and I thank her for that. You exposed me to a whole nother world.
Right.
That world was a whole nother world for real. It was cripping and blooding, and Long Beach ain't nothing but the blue.
Right.
So, and I had a red shirt.
Right.
I remember that one of the first.
Country.
Yeah, but I had that speed on me. But
they had to catch you though.
but I would say experiencing death at a young age. I had a cousin who was murdered out in Compton, and that was the first funeral I ever cried at. Been the old elders' funerals. It's like, man, I didn't know him like that.
Yeah.
But to see a cousin I knew really tight, rest in peace too, got shot, murdered, and like damn, and that threw me.
Yeah.
Like we died, we can really die.
Right.
And then flip around a year and a half, maybe a year and a half later, my brother, who was really my cousin, but he was a brother to me, got found in the toilet with a bullet in his head, and we were super tight. And yeah, you talking about my grades dropping, plummeting. I really didn't give a F at that point.
So now you filled in a big chunk. I'm glad we got
that's
that.
why I had to go back.
So you go to college, but now all these things are happening to people.
And these happened before college.
Oh, so you already have it in your mind. So how was your college experience?
First of all, thankful I was able to get in college.
Okay.
Let me share that story. I was in Riverside working I lived with my aunt in Riverside.
Yeah.
And working at a mental adult senior citizen home.
Okay.
Washing diapers or whatever. And I was a humbling experience. I applied to colleges. I had a 1.9 GPA out of high school.
How you get up into college?
I'm about to tell you, I wasn't dumb by any means. I just didn't give up no more. You know what I'm saying? I just gave up. Morehouse, many institutes. I wanted to go to Hampton and Morehouse, all of them. I applied for them all.
So you had awareness of these places you wanted to go.
Oh, different world. We had great shows back in the days. Yeah, I wanted to meet Whitley Gilbert.
Right.
And
he said, "Hi, Whitley. Hi, Whitley."
And all them sisters on there.
Yeah.
I wanted to meet them all.
Right.
I was a horn dog.
That was inspirational for you. So you did get into college.
Yes, I remember the call that day. Pacific Bell payphone. We called Morris Brown, and they told me I was accepted. I'm like, oh my God. They put me on academic probation.
Yeah, because you had a low score, but you had to prove something.
Back then, you could write what your life was about. So they had like an essay, and I was telling them like what was going on.
Yeah.
And they said they read my story and want to give me a chance. I'm like, oh.
That writing, that pen.
Yeah.
Reading on that paper.
They got me in, and oh man, I remember just
Was that
took
a
off
good
from there.
experience?
Yes.
Good.
It was great. It was great. So back in Atlanta now. Actually, my junior year is when I officially found out he wasn't my biological father.
How did it come out?
My mom, I felt it was intensifying, and my mom told me I have something to tell you. I already knew what she was going to tell me.
What made her finally want to tell you? Do you know?
I don't know that yet.
Okay, so what happened? How'd she come at you?
It was a call first. I had someone to tell you. So I went back and visited, maybe for, I don't know, it was a holiday. I went back to visit her.
Yeah.
Say he's not my biological father. Like I said, I kind of knew that. I figured that from everything that's happened. She tried to incognito go to a restaurant and have me meet the biological father.
All in the same moment?
This is like maybe a week later or something like that.
Okay.
But
and how old you at this point that you finally meeting your real biological?
junior, like mid-20s.
Okay.
Mid to low 20s, yeah.
And so what was that experience like? Who was that person you met?
I cursed him out.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. I told him to get away from me. And he extended his hand. My mom told me she wanted me to meet somebody. Still feeling like, oh. So I see a guy walking, tall in stature. He extended his hand out to me, and I said, F you. Look on my face. And I walked out. Never had a chance to speak to him again. I see him again until he passed. So it's a big gap at this point. I see you. I know why I look different than my other siblings now, officially.
Right.
I'm
crazy, but I ain't crazy. Right.
I can show you a picture. I'm taller than all my other siblings.
You just towering over him.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. That visceral anger and that experience that you had when you met him, did it only go to him? Did it go to your mother? Did it go to your pops? How did this all play out?
It's crazy how it did start going to my mother.
Okay.
He started talking less. I think I would challenge things. The conversation was a little
more
awkward.
resentment.
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah, resentment.
And actually, the strange part about it, I grew up respect for who wasn't my biological father.
Right.
It was like I almost respected him to a degree for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Even after everything we kind of went through.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know.
Right.
It was weird. I can't really explain that one.
Yeah. It sounds like maybe you felt disrespected by your actual parents, right? And so the genuine nature of somebody who wanted to be there in your life probably got a level of reverence on a spiritual level maybe that maybe other parents didn't get.
I don't know. I just started looking at him as he's an old school black man, honestly.
Yeah.
And I had to start thinking if I was in his shoes with the information that he has. He's an old school guy who does hard labor.
Yeah.
From old school. And he didn't talk much.
Yeah.
So I just started processing things, looking at everybody and everything.
You see him differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, this boy, I'm surprised he didn't kill me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not to say that he would have. I'm just saying, but I was just surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think this topic is important because there are a lot of people who are in that circumstance where, based off of life decisions that parents make, they either, think a parent is theirs who isn't biologically this, or sometimes the narrative is your parent left you and they didn't really leave you. There may be a way more complex situation, but the definition of what they want to give you is, they left or they didn't care. How these things affect our human growth and development, our outlook, our disposition, how we feel about ourselves and others, and probably why loyalty can be such a big issue, right? Bring it full circle, this deep care and sense of loyalty that you want. I think loyalty includes a level of truth.
Yes.
And anytime I've been disloyal before. Look, I don't mind saying it, right? I know what it's like to be loyal. I know what it's like to be disloyal. Right. And I think the moment that we're disloyal again, that's like being disrespectful to our self-care.
Yes,
And
I
when we
agree.
don't do that, it's like we're disrespecting God again.
Yes.
It's all the same.
Yes.
So I want to know about this leap now from finding out about your father.
Yes.
And then it sounds like there was some kind of fall after that, some kind of breakdown, because you went to saying you were living out of your car. So we had to fill in that gap.
That's right.
So we're almost there. So
Yeah.
what happens after you meet this man?
After I meet the
Well,
biological-
after you graduate, you meeting your father, all these things happening.
just find work. I started working at the youth boys group, counseling,
Okay.
talking to them, speaking to them, working with them. Had a job and I got fired.
What happened?
After 5 years of working with a job, I got fired for wearing a hat.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
was my authentic self, but
Yeah.
it was a switch up of supervisors.
right.
And
Power trip.
That part.
Politics.
But I was great with the boys, and it's like,
Oh.
here you can, okay, but
Anyway.
I was still myself.
Right.
Couldn't find a
glad.
job. It took a while to get another job, but I was income going. I had children at the time.
Okay.
3 of them. Matter of fact, I had them in college. 21.
Oh, you was trying to skip past
Nah,
that
see, I'm
too.
trying to-
Look. You done lived some life, young brother.
But I had,
Wait, so you popped out 3 babies all in the time of college?
yeah, ladies at the school wouldn't even hug me no more. They were like,
They're like,
get
don't
pregnant.
you even look in my direction with your fertile self.
Right,
Huh?
yep, all that.
So,
Yeah.
so to your father,
Yes.
you learn about not having your biological father in your life when you thought it was. What starts happening to you
comes.
now? Because this is a lot of responsibility. Are you an active father?
Oh, for sure.
Okay,
To
so
this day.
this is a lot. So who do you become as a result of these relationships with fatherhood to your own children now?
Mm-hmm.
Fatherhood experience you've had. Where are you at now? You graduated.
I try to, yes, I'm graduated, yes.
So is this when you start falling apart?
Yeah, I'm trying to overcompensate as a father. Like, I'm being such a father that the woman in my life at the time, we weren't married. Matter of fact, I didn't even believe in marriage because of what I had seen.
Yeah.
Seeing piss poor marriages,
That's
I
a
don't
big-
want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I couldn't give it I didn't have the tools to give her to love her.
Okay.
I
Okay.
did. So we had
Say it again. Look in the
I
camera.
didn't have the tools to love her, you know.
What does that mean? Because that's a good lesson right
I didn't know
there.
the value of a woman. I didn't know the value of family and being able to quality time with a woman and just knowing how to mold and compliment each other and grow with each other. I didn't want to grow. I was to myself.
Yeah.
I was comfortable. That boy in the restroom was still
Right.
to me.
Right.
But I would be the best father, but I was not giving myself to that lady. Not at all. And so we split up. Children had to bounce to my mom and lose the apartment where we were. I'm in my car trying to find work. And couldn't find work. Even jobs that didn't require a degree would not let me work at the grocery store. I said,
Yeah.
"Man, I just want work."
Right.
Couldn't do it. So I was
What does that do? I think it's so important for us to look at that part of there's men that don't want to work, right? That's a different story. But there's men in the world who want to work, who pride themselves on working and providing and being productive. What does that do to one's psyche?
Oh, it breaks it down.
Tell me about it.
Oh, I mean, every Friday was the worst day because you don't want nobody calling you on a Friday for a job. So you see everybody going out, buying stuff. You're like, damn, I ain't got nothing. So it breaks you down to the point where you want to rob a motherfucker. And that's exactly what I led to.
Okay.
So I started finding security gigs here and there. And I'm not going to go that way, but I would start being in people's pockets. They put me on the door. They said, make sure nobody snort cocaine.
Yeah.
I charge a tax. They go in there. I know exactly who had the cocaine, who was sniffing, who got the bucket of Modelo. I know who was extra jacked up that night. I would be in your pockets.
And that's survival. You know, we don't look at what creates what somebody would be considered a criminal.
Yeah.
We don't often look at all the circumstances of why we react, right? When we have a crime committed against us,
Excuse me.
right? But there is a fuller story,
Yeah.
right? Most people aren't doing those type of crimes, right? Because they're just getting off on hurting you. There's a necessity behind it.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important for us to talk about that when we talk about men wanting to protect and provide, the extremes a man has to go through to hurt one person, place, or thing in order to serve. We don't talk about the fullness of that story, right?
That's right. We
You
don't.
wanted to work. You had a college degree. You had children that you wanted to be a good father to. You had responsibilities that you wanted to take care of. And here you go, being driven to this way of life to do that.
Yeah.
What happens after this lifestyle? Because that lifestyle I know don't last too long. Yeah.
Oh, this comes to turning point. I remember, although I had robbed people, I never done it at gunpoint. I've had a gun in my face several times.
Okay.
And I never wanted to do that, instill that type of fear in somebody.
Yeah.
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 Oh man, that's a whole nother level. So I actually was about to. And my brother, who was like a father to me, who passed several years ago, Ski, much love.
Much love.
I was in a parking lot, convenience store, and I saw a target. I saw him, the guy, like a square, what we call a square, he ain't square. I was about to walk up on him. If I started walking up on him, cocked it. There's something drove me not to do it though. I couldn't. I ain't had the heart to do that.
God talking to you.
I called my brother. I said, man, I'm about to do something real bad. I'm out bad. I ain't got shit right now. I'm out, down and out. I'm about to do something bad, bro.
Yeah.
And he said, calm down. I remember an 8-ball, OE. Last 40 ounce I had.
Okay. It's real life.
Yeah, straight up. I remember pulling somewhere, a place in Atlanta called Mechanicsville in the hood. I had my 40 ounce. I was sipping on it, and I looked at it. The moon was out, and I just looked to the sky, and I threw it to the ground. And I remember the bottle breaking. And I said, there's more, something else out here, man. Something else out here. This ain't it. And I went on a journey, a search. Still broke as hell. I started going, I think it was like that week, I went to a church on a Wednesday or a Tuesday. I started going to some masjids. I started going to temples. I'm like, it's something out here. I got to get to it. It's something better. While still looking for jobs. And I was invited to a mosque in the Nation of Islam. And I heard a message that day. And I've always heard of Minister Farrakhan. But I heard a message that day. And it said, who is your God? What is your God? And the message was saying how we put everything in the place of God except God, who we say we love. And so it says, sex your God, is weed your God, is money your God. I'm like, damn. Every day I've been serving everything else, you know.
Say
and
that
so when
again.
I heard that,
wait, time out. Talk to the camera right now. There's a young man in the world, or somebody who is a loved one of a young man in the world, who's about to go do that thing. They're about to do the thing that could possibly change not just their life trajectory in their human body, but it's going to change their psyche, their heart, even spirit, break them in a way that we know they deserve more than that. Talk to them right now about what and who are they serving and the difference if they make a decision to go on that search for God.
Young man, young woman, young brother, young sister. One split second can create a situation where you in the hole for the rest of your life, in a situation where you away from here, asleep eternally. I'm saying you're in a position where I want you to recognize who you are, what you have before you. That impulsive drive can take you somewhere you don't want to be. I'm saying just think for a second, what are you serving? What is it that's driving you towards what you may be thinking about right now? Is it sex? Is it money? Is it weed? Is it smoke? Who do you serve? What is your master? Are you yourself your master? Look in the mirror and ask that question, and I think you'll find out who the true master is if you just look deep into that mirror. So don't put anybody else above you, anything else above you. Look at yourself, see what you find in that mirror, and serve that person. Best interest of that person. That's what I say.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I think sometimes the things that get attention online or whatever, I believe that in this community storytelling, it's our job to, as we shaping kind of towards the end of this particular journey, because I know you have several, we want to be able to look at cause and effect.
Yes.
We also want to look at what the healing journey was. And it sounds like, as you've expressed to me, these different iterations of your life, you started to go on a quest and a search for something more than what that quick fix would have got you, and however many dollars was in that man's pocket.
This is true.
Whatever quick fix you could have got to get your head up high real quick, right? And again, these things were what you were doing to self-medicate or self-survive at the time, but it sounds like that spiritual awakening started tapping in. So tell me now how this spiritual awakening has you to become the person you are. And now how are you sharing that with the different things that you produce? I know you have a children's book. I can't wait for you to talk about that. So how does this spiritual enlightenment shape up and start shaping you?
It starts disciplining me. I think
it.
that's a word. We say freedom a lot. What do we want? Freedom. When do we want it now? I hear that a lot in a lot of marches.
Yeah.
I don't even know we know how that works or the definition of it.
Right.
With everything, there's no such thing as a total freedom. I think even the laws of God and how the universe operates, it has laws.
Absolutely.
And we must adhere to those laws. That allows us, when we're able to discipline ourselves in a measurable law of accountability, we can see the freedom come about.
That's right.
That we want to see.
That's right.
And so there's been a misunderstanding of freedom. I was able to discipline myself, and I found myself being more free through fasting, through studying, through zakat charity, just doing all those principles. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
Yes.
And you're doing it with a pure heart.
That pure heart and intention.
And you found so much more freedom in that aspect. Trying to find freedom through anything I can purchase or buy.
Right.
You know, that's why I discipline myself.
Yeah. And it comes with the level of abundance.
Yes.
Because your purpose is to do it for the pure outcome of the core base value of the discipline, but other things that come from it is like, oh, I didn't just get enough from me to eat. I got enough from me and all the fruit of this discipline, this labor, this commitment, right? There's enough to share.
Yes.
And I think that's for me when I began to learn like, oh, I don't have to give from a space of deficiency. I don't have to give from a space of like being worried and stressed and turned out. All I can do is give the best of what I got. Yes. And if I'm taking good care of myself, what I got is a lot to give because there's extra. I could do that. I can give from abundance. It's a total different way of life. So how does this start affecting you? This discipline, how does this affect your family, your children, your producing and creativity? How does this newfound discipline change your life?
My pen, I write so much better, but I was a better father. My older three children, they saw the transition. They saw the old me. Then I came back and I got them. My hair was clean, cut, shaved, and everything. And I was just walking better, feeling better, eating better, healthy, just on it.
And how did it impact them?
Oh, they fell right in alignment with no compulsion. Just fell right in alignment. My family, there was pushback when you do something different. Yeah, there's pushback.
Little buck.
Yeah, there's like,
this ain't you, right? Why every time? Why we gotta be in a cult? Every time we try to get healthy, especially black folks. Why when black folks want to get healthy, we in a cult?
Yeah. So you go against the grain, and those questions are asked.
Right.
As we talked earlier, though, I think most people, when they get a body of knowledge that changes them, most people don't take heed to it because they have a comfort level. Yes. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, too. I think when we get of a certain age, many people I worked with that I see in our neighborhoods, they've been through so much, I call it concentrated trauma.
Yeah. Ooh, yes.
Concentrated trauma. Yeah. So by the time they reach an age where they stabilize, even things that are not so good for them, they're content and comfortable. They have a level of comfort to ease their mind. Yeah. So that's one thing that humbles me when we're dealing with our people. As much as I love them and want to drive them to be their best self, I got to realize that they are where they are. Yeah. And they've attained a comfort level where they are. Right. What they had to go through.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. You know, it's interesting because now that I have this fuller view and more insight in you as a person, you know, just going all the way up from you being a young child, and what you were exposed to and the goodness of the way of life, some of the challenge you had within your family dynamic, some of you, you know, dealing with maybe trying to figure out how to be a father figure to other people, which was sounds like it was a part of that medicine. Because when you told me about how those gentlemen came up to you and was like, man, you're like a father figure to me. Yeah. You're not their biological father. And so there's some theme in your life that I'm able to that's calling to me that has something to do with the healing of the divine masculine relationships in your life. Whether that's your biological father being there or not there, whether somebody who's not your biological father being there versus how well they were fathers. And then somehow that led you to wanting to be working with young men in these homes and groups. And again, it's showing me that our soul at the end of the day, as much as our human flesh wants to feel like the biological parenting is the end all be all and the only way, that if we're open, we can still receive the magical power and the healing of divine masculines who are not our biological fathers.
That's right.
And even if we do have our fathers in our life, there's still space, and it's okay to seek out attributes from other positive male figures to supplement for that.
Right.
I don't think our parents that we're born to is the end all be all parenting experience that we're supposed to have.
I agree.
That there's a particular experience we have with them, but that there's also elders and other people either in our family or elders in the community that can also pour into our human growth and development. And that's something that I really pride myself on. Like, that's the whole universal auntie spirit that I'm talking about, is understanding that it's never too late. And if we're willing to go on that quest, like I hear you say, you're going to now open yourself to so many different more ways of life, and for you, disciplines that have changed you in your posturing as a man, but also how you show up with your family and now your art. So please, before we go, I need you to talk about you as an artist, and please tell me about this amazing book and where that story comes from, so that we can pump you up.
Oh,
and
come
let
on
people
now.
share
All right.
what you got.
Come on. The art world, I've always been a part of the art world. Let me say one of the most heaviest points, lessons I've learned in life was in an art class. Where the art teacher, he put like a table right here, and he had fruit, vase with plants and flowers, books, just different little things on it. And on this day, he set all the students around it, and we all drew what we saw and painted what we saw. And at the end of the class, we all posted them up. Now, we painted the same images from different perspectives. And when you see it, they all different. And that right there always landed on my mind, to always be open to perspectives. And so that's enhanced my writing. I've never been closed off to one body of knowledge, one way of learning, one way of doing things. And I've always had the spirit of poetry in me. So I just intertwined the poetry, which developed into songs, rap music, and now has led into me being an author of a book that rhymes. You know, when I met you,
here, go, look, let's show it off. Show it off.
It's called.
Show it off. I got it. I'm gonna hold it. Okay, bam.
This is called The Adventures of Mabuzini Mabuzoo. And the first book is called Imagine, illustrated by my boy Cam, the illustrator, Cameron Wilson. Thank you, brother. This book is heavy. This sister, Mabuzini Mabuzoo, is young, like elementary age student. She has an adventurous, curious mind, like me, actually. She just feels she can save the world, wants to know more about the world. So she encounters peers and dilemmas throughout her life, and she runs up on them. She doesn't know necessarily how to handle it. She wants to engage. She wants to intervene because her heart is pure. She doesn't necessarily know how. So many times she seeks help. Her parents try to help, and she listens to them. But I like the way the spirit world intervenes. It's like usually through her sleep or a daydream, she gets a thought. And so she gets the thought, and she's like, I got it. So she takes the idea to her parents, and this is how they intervene into this story right here. So with this one, this story deals with child abuse and molestation, sexual abuse of our young children, which happens far too often in our neighborhoods, which needs more discussion and more act right.
That's right.
So I want to disrupt that narrative in our community, in the world, of course, but we got to deal with self first.
Right.
So Mabuzini Mabuzoo encounters a student who's there. She's happy when she's at school, but she notices this student gets upset when the bell, like it's time to leave for the day.
Right.
And so she stumbles upon some information. The young student confides in her about what's going on at home. She's being tampered with. So Mabuzini's on the fence because the student doesn't want anybody to really know. So she's trying to hold this loyalty towards the student and her confiding in her against telling somebody who can do something about it, for her parents. So she's on the fence. She wants to tell them. She has the dream. She tells her parents. The parents intervene, and they get the help that she needs.
That's so good.
And gets this young student out of that situation. And this is so key. Every woman that I've dealt with 100% in my life that I've had a relationship with has been tampered with to some degree. Every woman.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it goes on in our neighborhoods so much.
Right.
And we're not stopping it. We're not addressing it. What is it in our neighborhood that allows this bull crap to continue without no chin checking?
Yeah.
We chin check everything. When I saw the video of our brother in New York who was over Bad Boy, I don't know if I should say his name. Many people were upset at him, what he did to the young lady, the artist, Cassie, I think. It's so easy to look at people on the big stage and throw stones at them. It's people every day in our family we don't check.
Right.
It's fathers in our neighborhood who don't take care of their children.
Yeah.
It's dudes we know beating the crap out of their wife or women. Ain't nobody checking them.
Right. Absolutely.
We know them too. We try to sweep it under the rug.
Right.
But as my theory states, if you continue to sweep dust and dirt under the rug will develop a lump and somebody gonna trip over it.
Come on.
And that's where we keep falling and stumbling because we don't want to snitch.
Right.
That word need to be re-examined by us too.
That's right.
That was a code amongst thieves.
That's right.
Which is leaked into mainstream society. We need to, if ain't no chin checking, this is going to continue.
Yeah. And, it's interesting that you say that because if the loyalty is to the idea of not being a snitch, then where's the loyalty of being a protector?
Come on. Yeah.
I don't know that there can be two at the same time. If you are ultimately a protector to our youth, to our community members, right? If you're so worried about being the one to speak the truth at the expense of you and your family and your community, then no wonder why we feel unsafe, because our protectors aren't able to, their loyalty is not to being a protector.
Right.
The loyalty is to not snitching and breaking a code.
Right.
And that code is oftentimes what hurting our people. It keeps us from really analyzing what we have to adapt and change to overcome it. Right. And so that's why, when I read the book, I actually cried. I was emotional because I could relate to, what's the main young lady?
Malbazini Malbazoo.
That's the name right there. Malbazini Malbazoo. Malbazini Malbazoo. Hey, Malbazini. Okay, I'll do the soundtrack.
All right, there we go.
Here we go. Deal, right? But I could relate to her because I have always been that problem solver. I have been always a little girl who spoke her mind, who spoke up for what was fair, who was the voice for people. I could see myself in her.
Yes.
I see myself in her now working with people who are grown adults, and then I'm helping them to overcome the long-lived damage of being molested by not just people in the community, but their own family members that they're still seeing every day and dealing with on a regular basis. So I have a passion for this book. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to buy 5 so that I can sponsor them to some students. And I want to challenge anyone who is watching this, that we gift all kind of stuff. And we got to gift learning tools. Our children are getting these mandated learning experiences in school where they are only going to school to make it to the STAR testing at the end of the year so that the funds are kept because the stats say they're learning. But they are not learning some of the social emotional skill sets necessary to navigate through some of the sicknesses that we have. And one of them is molestation of our children. This book speaks to that. It rhymes, it's a story, and it has a lesson. And we want to endorse men who stand in position of protection and actually create tools that could be used to start having that conversation younger. If you're too sensitive, then it's at a school child level. You can read it and then explore the book with your child and have that conversation starter so that they're familiar with what this situation is and that they know that there's a go-to in the event that they have to advocate for themselves or one of their friends. So I just salute you.
Thank you
For making this book.
Thank you.
Because I know for some people it's taboo.
Yes.
And you're going to be pushing it and we're going to be pulling it off of the shelves to make sure that we gift these things to our family members the same way we do Disney books.
Yes.
And I ain't going to name off all the Disney characters, but I know you done put some money into those characters.
Yes.
We're going to put some What's the name of her?
Malbazini Malbazoo.
Malbazini Malbazoo. The Adventures of Malbazini Malbazoo.
Yeah.
Imagine we're going to manifest that you guys are all going to buy the book, that you're going to gift the book, and that you're actually going to use it as a conversational starter for the littles in your life who deserve to know and have this social emotional education. What do you have to say?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. And I just want to let you all are so valuable to me.
Yeah.
You know, our youth, all of us. I think there's a saying about you can't repair a broken man or an adult. You can fix children. I don't believe that. You know, we all broken to a degree.
Right.
Just finished the songwriting called Broken Records.
Yeah.
We still are able to play even though we broken.
Right.
So I just say continue in the spirit. Thank you, sister, so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I do want to say though.
What's that?
Because you're a spoken word artist. Like, I've been following your work.
Uh-huh.
Your boy on it too.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, can I spit one?
Oh, spit one. Come on. Let's go.
It's called A Culture Less Culture.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. From a culture that's been stripped, chained up and whipped, but in the batter of God's blood, my soul has been dipped. 'Cause see, I'm made in his image, from the Nile I've descended. The blood, sweat, and tears my elders have unwillingly given. But see, pain is temporary. My folks were visionaries, not understanding the hate because of the weight my soul carries. From the history of the past to the misery of the present, I'm enslaved in a rage, engaged as meager peasants. You see, I'm labeled a statistic, yet upon another list. You ask me what I see, I tell you what exists. Homies transporting, getting caught out on the spread. Niggas up in hotels furnished by the feds. Counterfeit homies with their soul for sale. Too many real soldiers 6 feet with stories to tell. A lot of young people in my skin tone, they fertilize the ground. 360 degrees, you know, it all goes round. From pushing weight up on the corner to lifting weights out on the yard. Now we're lifting dead weight to send his ass off to God. No matter where you at, no matter where you from, Sam cooked me up a story and said a change gonna come. But true happiness ain't here. So what is it discovered? In my opinion, it ain't achieved until we dead and covered.
Look, hold on. Cue in the finger snaps.
Yeah.
You know, all of that is like a roundup of everything we talked about to a certain extent, right? Like really, really acknowledging where you're from, the lightness of it and the darkness of it, knowing who you are in the process, but always knowing that there's a quest out there. And until we are buried and in this grave, you went on that quest and you're an example of what it looks like to turn your life around and to understand that in that quest, the lessons and the wisdoms that you've gained is exactly what you needed to go through the rites of passage into manhood in a way that you are fulfilling your purpose, you are protecting the community, and you're being the artist that you're intended to be. That whole piece about having different perspectives, you sharing this experience is one more hue, right, on this canvas that people are learning how to paint and understanding all these different textures and colors. You're one more hue of what it looks like for a 6'2" brother, right, with a big warm smile that some people might be afraid of or apprehension of, or, you know, they find out about your past. They don't know what that journey was like to evolve and that you didn't stay in that space. So I think, you know, in full circle, the thing that you said that you learned in this past year of your birthday is that love of self, right? That self-love and the quest that's necessary to go on. And that love. So that's going to be the title. We're going to call this the Love Quest.
Oh,
is that a good?
I love it.
Is that a good title?
I love it.
And in honor of, you know, today is a special day, you know, and I have a wonderful friend who wrote a book called How to Celebrate Your Birthday. And it seems like something, oh, here comes Yoda. It seems like something that everybody should know, right? It seems like something that everybody should understand. But because we go through so much trauma and drama, I think the moments to be celebrated are taken for granted. And that's your birthday sometimes, but that's also on just those iterations and those graduations.
Yes.
So I say happy birthday to you because it is your birth anniversary.
Thank you.
But I also say happy rebirth to you in this newfound iteration of your manhood.
Yes.
And we got to look, and we got a little something to make your birthday official.
No.
Yes, we do. We got a little cupcake. Right, you got to blow it out. And what kind of candle is on there?
A star.
It's a star. Blow out your candle star
man.
and say your birthday wish, your affirmation.
All right. Wow.
Ashe. Ashe.
Wow.
Happy birthday. Look. A birthday's
man,
always special with a little bit of cake.
Yo.
We got to serve not only the man in you and lift him up, but the inner
Thank you,
child in
thank
you
you,
too.
thank you,
So
thank you,
here,
thank
you want me to take it for you?
I want to drop it. There we go. Got the mic here. All right.
So when we close out of every session, we always close up with a closing. What is your reflection on today's refresh session?
It feels refreshing to put ourselves in a vulnerable space to express what we need to express.
Yeah.
To be able to measure where we've come from.
Yeah.
And where we are presently and where we are going.
Yes.
Taking the tools that have worked, getting rid of things that have not worked and are not working, being able to protect and provide for our youth. We must support ourselves too first, because if we're not here to do that, our youth are vulnerable and we're not there to protect them. So,
beautiful. That's a beautiful reflection.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are watching, look, Yoda done joined the show. He done forced himself on the show. Now it won't be so awkward. But I do want to thank everybody for tuning in, because sometimes we're looking for, like I said, things that are being exploited to catch your attention. And I have a firm belief that there are people in community that want to listen to edutainment that is going to fill them, that is going to encourage them, that is going to keep them informed. Even if it's not something that applies directly to your life, you can be informed on how you show up with your social emotional connections with other brothers and sisters and people in leadership who are artists, activists, entrepreneurs, and those of us who don't want those big titles, but we just want to have as many jewels that we can have to sprinkle throughout our life and our existence on our human development journey. So I thank you all for being here with your attentiveness. Again, we want to remind you that if you hit that subscription thing, that means that you'll get my little pop-ups. And since you're using your technology for good, why wouldn't you want refreshing combos to show up on your timeline to refresh you and to give you insight that will last a lifetime? As always, it's Miss Marianna, and I'll see you next time. Peace.